Hi class, so here we are finishing up chapter 1.1 part B. So you should have already written down on page 1 both I can statements for this section, but a recap, they are I can find the absolute value and compare the absolute value, and then the other one is I can solve real world problems involving absolute value. So now you're going to turn to page 3, and we're down towards the bottom where it says comparing absolute values. Okay, so now let's get down to there. Alright, so comparing absolute values. So when we compare absolute values, we need to first think about where the number lines up on a number line. So sorry, technical problems. There we go. All right. So our highlighted words for the lines in the comparing values is a number. Line can be used to compare and order integers. Remember, integers are those whole numbers, positive, negative, and including 0. Numbers to the right are greater than numbers to the left. Well, and that makes sense. So when we think of a number line, here's my number line. I've got 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then I have -1, -2, and -3. This makes sense because numbers that are to the right are bigger. So let's look right here. We're going to look at number -3 and -2. Which one's bigger? Well, -2 because it's further this way. Well, let's look at this. 0 and 1. Which one is bigger? The one on the right. Okay? So the biggest number we have in this number line is our number 3. And the smallest number we have on this number line is that -3. Alright, so turn your paper to page 4, and you will see I've written in a number line for you. What you need to do is put in the absolute value of -4 on your paper, and then you're going to need to write in the numbers that you have. Okay? So when we're comparing things, what we're doing is we're trying to figure out which one is bigger. And I know you've learned this in other grades. We have the greater than symbol and we have the less than symbol. And whatever number is bigger is going to have the opening towards the bigger number. A lot of us think of it as an alligator wants to eat the bigger meal. Okay? And so we're doing the same thing here. Is we have to graph our numbers. So here's our 1. And then we have the absolute value of -4. And from yesterday we learned, well, the absolute value of -4, well, -4 would be right here on my number line. How many steps is from -4 to 0? Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. So I put my absolute value of -4 right here at 4. And now I compare. Which one is bigger? Which one is further to the right? Well, my absolute value of -4 is actually bigger. So then I write on my paper over by the so, it's on the right hand side of your paper, so 1 is less than the absolute value of -4. Well, that's pretty cool. Let's try a couple together. And I'll draw a number line on here so then you can see it. You do not have to use the number line if you do not want to, or you can just use mine. So let's look at these. I'm going to write in a number line right now. All right, so now I have my number line in. My first number for number 5 is the absolute value of -2. So I'm going to think about the absolute value of -2. My number is -2. And how many steps is it to 0? 1, 2. So that actually is a 2. And then we have -1. Which one is bigger? So now that I have that down, I'm just going to write down my -1. And then I'm going to put down my 2. And I can clearly see which one is on the right. That is my absolute value of -2. So now I'm going to put in my greater than symbol. All right, try 6, 7, and 8, and we'll check those in class tomorrow. Thank you. Bye, class.